Good afternoon.
A chance to watch Javon Kinlaw for the first time in a while. What did you see from him today? How did he look?
Yeah, really excited to have J.K. back out there. It's just refreshing to see just his presence to be out there, and it's cool to just see him get back into the groove of playing football again. So he's been on a long pathway to get back, and it's a lot of struggles along the way. If anybody has been injured, they understand how tough it is to battle back from that, and just commend J.K. for his effort, his persistence throughout the rehab process to make it back at this point.
I'm assuming he's in meetings and stuff still throughout this. How much can you help him in terms of film and just things like that throughout that?
Yeah, the biggest thing with him is just getting the body right. I think when it comes to ball and playing ball, guys naturally just kind of sink back into football mode, but it's really just overcoming the mental hurdle of being injured. That's the biggest thing for injured players is the mental aspect of it and how much it drains you just from doing rehab so much. So once you get over that and you get back out on the field with your brothers and you're out there playing football again, all that stuff just goes out the window. Now you can get back to focusing on your techniques and getting better at your job.
Commanders, I realize it's the NFL, everyone's physical and violent and all that, but do the Commanders, you guys have an offensive mentality or style that they're going to try to match you guys in your physicality and come right at you?
Yeah, we know Washington, they've done a really good job of running the football, controlling the game by they're first in time of possession. They do a good job of just trying to stay on schedule that way of not protecting the football, running the football really well with two really good backs, a good offensive line. So it'll be a really good matchup for us. And when it comes to the run game, probably the best run game we've seen since Atlanta. So it'll be a really good matchup for us.
Your defense clearly has very few weaknesses, but if there was an Achilles heel, it seems like it might be the quarterback scramble on 3rd and long. Would you consider using a quarterback spy in certain situations against certain mobile quarterbacks, or is that something you don't like to do?
I think every team, every situation calls for whatever it takes to win. So for me, if it's a quarterback spy that we need, we would use that if we felt like that would help us to win that game or win that down. So when it comes to that, yeah, sometimes the quarterback does get out and he scrambles and make plays on us, but it's not something that anybody is just totally freaking out about. Like, it's just we got to make plays when it comes down to it. Guys have to be sound and where they need to be. If the quarterback gets out, we got to go get him down.
You were able to move Mooney around on Metcalf last week a lot in different spots. What does it do for you as a defensive play caller, having a guy that you can do that against the number one receiver?
Yeah, it's confidence that Mooney brings to our entire defense, right? When you have a guy who can go and match up against a top receiver in his league like Metcalf, it's just confidence for everyone. Mooney's going to go over there. He's going to do a great job no matter who he's lined up against. So it's a breath of fresh air knowing that, he can handle the top wide receiver on the other team.
When you acquired him, did you have that in mind? Is that could be a way you could use him, or did they just kind of emerge naturally through conversation?
Everything just emerged. Just from a game plan standpoint of what we need to do to win the game, that particular week versus Seattle, we felt like that's what we needed to do, and that allowed us to win the game. Mooney played an outstanding game, right? He challenged their best guy, and he went up and made plays. So I'm really happy for Mooney and for him to go out and play that way. That allowed us to be, NFC West champs. So it's, all the credit hat off to Mooney for the job that he did. It was awesome to watch.
You guys have a fair amount of stars on defense, and it seems not a lot of ego, and that seems to be kind of the case throughout the team. Is that something you guys talk about a lot, or is that just kind of naturally the kind of people you have?
Yeah, I think it starts with the people that you bring in, right? And it's also about the guys gelling together with the leaders that we already have here. When you have Bosa, Eric, Fred, guys who are not big ego guys who are team first guys, it's just the culture that that Kyle and John have created here in our locker room, just overall, right? When you come in, nobody is bigger than the next man. And the only way that we thrive as a team, as a defense, is everybody just doing their job and playing together. That's what makes us a really good defense, is when we play together. I always tell the guys, no one needs to play hero ball. You're not on the field by yourself. right? So if you take that mindset that all I have to do is my part, do my job, then we'll play really good football. And that's what guys have been doing, and nobody is saying, oh, look at me or what I've done or looking at their own personal accomplishments. It's all about us collectively as a unit.
What are the most dangerous aspects of Heineke, and same goes for Wentz if he comes in to replace him?
I think Heineke has done a really good job of just managing the game for him. And I think here in this last game, you've seen them take a few more shots downfield. So I would anticipate them trying that on us, taking some more shots downfield. They have really good receiving core. I have a lot of respect for it. Those guys can go up and make plays on the ball. So, we have our hands full not only with the run game, but also with the receiving core. They're a really talented group of guys. So Heineken can definitely push it downfield and get the ball to those guys.
Jimmy Ward seemed less than thrilled at first to be playing nickelback, but now it seems like he's playing the position at a really high level. I mean, what's your assessment, and how much do you appreciate him doing that?
Yeah, he's gotten better each week. Jimmy he's a very gifted player. Right? He can do a lot of things. I said this before. He can do a lot of different things that most defenders can't, like whether it's safety, nickel. Jimmy's played corner. Not that we're asking him to do all that, but he is the guy who has the flexibility. He has that God-given ability to go in and play the slot for us, and he's done a great job, and he's getting better each week. And Jimmy is making even more plays. I feel like every week he's making a play. He's around the ball more, making more plays for us, being a big-time playmaker for our defense. So, and it's scary to say this, but he can get even better, right? He can get even better in there, but it just comes with the more reps he gets, he'll continue to get better and make even more plays for us. So, Jimmy he's definitely climbing. He's doing a really good job for us in there. And for him to unselfishly go in there, it just speaks to the man of who Jimmy is. It goes back to the ego question, like it's no ego. It's just what can I do to help our team win games. And that was the attitude that Jimmy had about moving in there, and he's been outstanding so far.
What enables someone like Armstead to miss all the time that he missed? I think it was 8 games, and then come back and be impactful now. I mean, like right away.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't happen that way all the time.
Yeah, the first thing is you have a very dominant player in Armstead, and he's been a great player in this league for a long time, so it doesn't take him long to get back going or to get back into the football mode. Like once he hits the ground, he hits it running, and he's affecting the game. When it comes to our pass rush, I feel like it's different when Eric is in there because he can just do things that other players can't. And Eric he's been a good player for many years now, and he's just always steady, always consistent, always around the ball making plays. And the cool part about Eric is he makes everyone around him better. So I feel like our defensive line, or defense in general, has played better by having Eric back, and just happy to have him back. And with his presence and his playmaking ability has allowed us to play even better.
You guys have clinched with 3 games to play.
Yeah.
Does Fred, any other team leaders have to say anything this week to make sure that nobody sort of, exhales with 3 more weeks to go?
Yeah, nobody. I've said something. It's not. It's a great accomplishment, right? To win the West is a great accomplishment, but everyone knows that's not our goal. And also to that, like we didn't play our best in Seattle. Like there's a lot of things that we can do much better. Right, if we want to go where we want to go, like we have to play better on defense. And guys understand that wasn't our best game. And if we want to be a great team and move on, like we have to play better defense. And guys got that message and they understand what we need to do. So there's no take a breath, take a breather. It's none of that. It's no time to relax. It's actually a time to pick it up for everybody, for us.
Non-football question for you.
Yep.
What are your favorite Christmas traditions and your favorite Christmas song?
Favorite Christmas song be Silent Night by the Temptations. And favorite Christmas tradition, I would say it's when I was younger, like my family always we have a huge gathering on Christmas Eve, and everyone would just always exchange gifts, no matter, it didn't matter about how much the gift costs, right? It was a matter of giving and everybody just being thankful for what they had. And it was just a really cool time for the family to get together. And I think that's what, Christmas, it's all about, just family, being around each other, right? Loving each other and just having a great time, a time of giving. And that's what it's all about, time of giving and not just receiving, but it's always about giving and just being thankful for what we have. Thank you, guys.
Changes that you have to do on the fly on an offensive line and how you got to be ready for them. But now, recently, you've had a good run of having people in their spots. And can you see that in their play?
Yeah, it is, knock on wood with that one. We definitely, the guys have worked really, really hard. I don't know what it is. It's kind of the luck of the draw. Some teams, they can't keep the same 5 guys in the field. I've been through years like that, and in other years you go through some bumps in the road. It's I don't want to say it's luck, but it's been nice. And I do think that as guys play together more and more and more, I noticed on the sidelines, I think there's a lot more understanding of the whole group, of understanding exactly what we're trying to accomplish in a game. And there's a lot more talk between themselves, adjustments that need to be made, and more of sometimes asking when they get to the side, hey, we were thinking about this or thinking about that. Where early in the season it wasn't as quite much that way because we did have some younger starters. So I think there is beginning to be a little bit more ownership from the guys that haven't played a lot of football before. And then the group plays together. I mean, you just early on we talked about you really don't know about a group of guys till they play. And then as they're playing during the course of the season, the group gels and becomes what they're going to become. And so we are today. And it's a good group right now. They're working well together.
So much earlier in the season, a lot of articles written about 3 kind of unknowns in the interior that you see. Obviously, you didn't know for sure. Have they surprised you at all? Just how apparently good they've been?
Well, I don't think we would have, it wasn't like we rolled it out there and said, well, we hope. I mean, we hoped, yes, but we also, like we talked about, they all had a skill set that said they could do it. So is it a surprise? Well, no, they've actually, the guys are playing to their skill set, and it's still with room to grow. So with that being said, not a surprise, just glad that we were right at this point, that the guys that we thought could play and be productive in this offense have been able to do it up to this point, and still a lot of football left to play. So guys have to continue to grow, continue to sharpen their skills, and hopefully be ready for the rest of this season and beyond.
What challenge do those guys have this week with those 2 defensive tackles?
I mean, for every single group we play has something that presents a challenge. And these guys, obviously, their 2 interior players are outstanding. Their edge rushers are very good. This is a really, really good defensive football team. And, I'm not the stats. I mean, a lot of reasons for statistics, but when you get this far into a season, a team is ranked high statistically. They're there for a reason. They've done a good job. They've obviously statistically done a good job. They play good complementary football, offense, defense, special teams, and how they do it. And this group defensively is, you can see they're very sound in what they do schematically. They're very well coached. Their techniques are very, very good. They've got skilled players on that front 4, 5, whatever you want to. They are outstanding players, talented, and they reflect, I think, the toughness and mentality of their head coach. I mean, he's a tough-minded guy, and they reflect that in how they play. I mean, when they come to tackle you, you're getting tackled. When you hit one of them, you hit one of them. I mean, it's a stout group. They bring it every single week, and they present a great challenge for us up front on the offensive line.
When you look around the locker room, there are a lot of stars on this team, but it feels like not a lot of ego. Is that something that has been talked about, or is it naturally just what's happened with the people you guys have brought in?
That's a nice observation. I mean, I get that feeling, but sometimes they just kind of tell coach what coach wants to hear, so it's good to hear it from you. I think from the beginning point of the players that we put on this football team, I think John and Kyle do an outstanding job of getting the right kind of guys there that just like playing football. And it's not about who gets the credit. They're just football players that like being part of a team. Obviously, it's professional football, and players want to be paid for what they do. And if they do a good job, they want to be paid a lot. I understand that. We all understand that. And so do they. But they understand that sometimes being on a good team, being part of something special is something that's important, too. And we have a bunch of guys that means a lot, too, that way. Not a bunch of guys that are just here for a paycheck and trying to figure out where their next spot is. They're legitimately vested in trying to see the 49ers win. The organization treats people well, and if you bring the right kind of people in, which we have, I think that's reciprocated. And so it's a really cool group of guys to work with. My guys are amazing, and it does run throughout the locker room.
When Trent Williams went down with the high ankle sprain in week 3, and he he only missed 3 games. How is that like a step back to like his all-pro form gone? Like it looks like he's back. And
He's- Yeah, there was I can't remember how it worked, but we were talking about it 2 or 3 games kind of after the bye that he had the ankle, and then when he came back, it was like the timing of the bye week and everything else just seemed like he hadn't played a lot of football. Even when he was kind of healthy, he wasn't back in a rhythm yet. So at this point, he is feeling really good about himself. I mean, I know you guys, you hear me say it, and we all appreciate how talented Trent is and what a great career he's had up to this point. But I mean, he'll come to me every single Thursday that's when he does his full day of work with full pads usually. And it's like, what do I need to work on today? What do you see in my game that needs to get better? He's constantly looking to work and be a better football player. So to say he's been at any form, he just keeps working to improve. He's done a lot of things to change his game a little bit this offseason and how he looked a year ago. He didn't like some of the things he was doing. We talked about it in the offseason. A lot of them are his suggestions. Some of them are mine. And he's worked through it and really is playing well at this point. You know, again, it's another challenge this week, though. There's always a week to not look as good. And obviously last week was a great challenge. The noise and all the things we had to manage with that was really, really cool for him to be able to go up and have a nice game again. Anybody else?
We asked you a lot about Jake Brendel. I mean, we talked about the interior a minute ago, but we asked you a lot about Jake Brendel, specifically early in the season. So nervous. How's he going to do? How's he doing? It seems like he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, he is. Jake is really like I mentioned earlier about the ownership that the guys are taking. That really starts with the center position. He's the guy that runs the group. He's the guy that runs the room. And obviously, you got to deal with you're dealing with Trent and Mike, who are some veteran players. But Jake has really taken ownership. Jake is really he's good for me because he absolutely wants to do exactly what I want him to do. He and I are close. So that helps me. He's like a coach on the field. I've told him that. But he's began to take ownership. He's begun to have ideas and thoughts of his own. He's begun to say, hey, maybe we should do this or maybe we should do that or this is what's happening or that's what's happening. I'm trying to do this and this isn't working. And I've watched him develop through that. There's still areas that he needs to improve on, things he hasn't done a lot of. But, man, it's been fun to watch him. He, Banks, Burford, they've all, each week, like I said, they learn and then they grow a little bit from it and they get a little bit better in some areas. Sometimes they revert back. Right now, like for example, Aaron, if we don't have a full week of practice where we get the full, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday routine, his games, when we had the short week, you come off a Monday night game, his games weren't as good, not as clean, maybe not noticeable. They just weren't as clean. The same thing can be said for Jake. Not that he takes a step back, but it just takes time now they're going to start to get into a groove. We're towards the end of the season. Now you hope that this now carries on, but it's still a learning curve. Things are still adding up and then nothing is like set in stone yet with these guys, although they are getting better every week. Jake included. He's been really cool to watch him develop and it's not easy because from his perspective, like he could have some mental errors early in the season that you'd like, gosh dang, man, this is not good, But then to fight through those bumps in the road and to come out the other end of it, learning from it and getting better, he's doing that.
Any more?
All right. Happy holidays, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you.